with progressives now ascendant inside the Democratic Party, with ideas like the Green New Deal and increasing calls to stop taking special interest money, establishment Democrats are fighting back for their ability to continue taking checks from industries. Now, a good example of this is Frank Pallone. Now, Frank Pallone is the House Energy and Commerce Committee chairman. And on Tuesday, he rejected calls for Democratic Energy Committee members to not take contributions from fossil fuel companies and other industries. He called it, quote, too extreme. He said, according to WNYC's Brian Lehrer's show, if you start going down that road, well, then nobody can contribute to you. He said, ultimately, you have to finance your campaign. And if you start saying that just because you're on a committee, that nobody associated with any of the issues that the committee faces can contribute. I just think that's the wrong way to go and too limiting. He also added, where do you draw the line? Does that mean that somebody who works for the utility company can't contribute to me? Yes. Yes, that's exactly what you mean, Frank Pallone. That's exactly what we mean. That's exactly what we want to happen. That nobody related to that industry can go and influence the people that are supposed to regulate and make decisions on that industry. That would be fantastic. I mean, he explained the perfect scenario. No private financing of your election from people that you are supposed to regulate. I mean, look, I'm for public financing of all elections. Get all the private financing out. I know Republicans, their head explodes. They go, what about unions? Well, good news. I want unions out too. I want unions out. I want corporations out. And I want all public financing of election. Why? Because that would eliminate the corruption in our system. We wouldn't be having these discussions. It would be all candidates get the same amount of money. And then, great. No private financing means they don't work for private interests. Because if you have private financing, they will work for their private interests. Public financing, they work for the public. That means you and I. So, now, here's the thing. So, speaking of working for private interests, what private interest does Frank Pallone work for? Well, I'm glad you asked. He works apparently for oil and gas companies. And now, the thing is, right, he is on the Energy Committee, right? He's in the House Energy and Commerce Committee. That committee is looking into how to address climate change. Well, of course, part of fighting climate change put forward by progressives is Green New Deal. It's a very bold, ambitious plan, right, in order to tackle climate change and create renewable jobs, or clean jobs, right? Good jobs in clean, renewable energy. So Frank Pallone says, oh, no, we can't do that. Frank Pallone took a lot of money. Now, I want to give his quote on this first before I go into the money. He said some of the countries that have been a lot more progressive on this, like in Western Europe, for example, they're moving towards carbon-free or carbon neutral, but it's going to take more than 10 years. This is something that we should take a look at, but some of it may not be technologically or politically feasible. So, look, the reason I give you that quote is because I want to put this in context, right? So he says, oh, no, it's not going to be available in 10 years. Well, first off, how do you know until you try? Second of all, we have literally 12 years to avoid burning up the planet. And this guy's like, well, I don't think it's going to be feasible, so let's not try. Let's not go too progressive, right? So here's the thing. When Kennedy said, let's go to the moon, how many people said, oh, I don't know, Kennedy. That sounds a little too forward thinking, a little too progressive, a little too radical. Let's not do that. Now, they didn't listen to those guys, and guess what? We went to the fucking moon in a short amount of time. This will take, if not more effort than that, but it is doable. It is doable. But of course, not if you're somebody like Frank Pallone. Now, Frank Pallone doesn't have the political, he talked about the political will. Turns out he doesn't have the political will, and here's why. Pallone has received $178,000 from energy and natural resources interests in just the 2017-2018 election cycle alone, according to an analysis by the Center for Responsive Politics. This includes $21,000 from the PACs of oil and gas companies and trade associations, such as the American Gas Association, the Petroleum Marketers Association, and Phillips 66, and from the PACs of electric utilities heavily reliant on fossil fuels such as Dominion Resources, NRG Energy, and Southern Company. So, not only that, but on October 3rd, Pallone accepted $2,500 from the PAC of Pinnacle West, an electric utility holding company, and $2,500 from the PAC of the Calpine Corporation, a major generator of electricity from natural gas. In the third quarter of this year, he received, that would be last year, he received donations from the PACs of numerous fossil fuel and utility companies. So he takes a lot of money, and when somebody's like, hey, Frank Pallone, you're in the Energy Committee, right? Why don't you vow to not take fossil fuels? We have a pledge, right? We have the no oil and gas, fossil fuel money pledge. You know what he said to that? Hell no, I'm not doing it. No, I'm going to keep taking more money from gas. I'm going to keep taking more money because guess what? I got to get it from somewhere. I'm not getting it from you guys. No. I get the best checks from these big corporate donors. Now, of course, he's also against a Green New Deal. And he's not only against, he's not the only one against a Green New Deal. You also have Peter DeFazio, right? Who said, quote, the idea that in 5 years or 10 years, we're not going to consume any more fossil fuels is technologically impossible. It's so impossible. Can't do it. Can't do it. So since we can't do it, I'm just going to keep taking checks from oil and gas. He told Politico that, quote, we can have grand goals, but let's be realistic about how we get there. DeFazio has taken in donations from the oil and gas industry, $10,000, and electric utilities, $8,500 this cycle. That's a lot less than Frank Pallone. Nonetheless, he has taken a lot of money. Now there's more. You also have Representative Alan Lowenthal, co-chair of the Safe Climate Caucus, and a member of the Energy and Transportation Committees. He has accepted almost $46,000 from the energy and natural resources sector this cycle, including $4,000 from oil refiner Andeavor and $1,000 from natural gas company PG&E. So, now, those guys are also against a committee to look into the Green New Deal to see if we actually can do it, and I believe we can. Now, it's funny because it's almost as if the people who are against bold climate action not only take money from the industry, of course, that's a given, but also have similar talking points. Oh, the technologies, it's not far enough along. Yeah, I know. Guess what? We have 12 years to make sure that we have that technology, but we need a massive push in investment. So why don't we do that now? Why don't we push to create those technologies so that we can actually do that? No, can't do that. One of their talking points, since we don't have it now, we'll never have it. So we can't actually do anything about it. What? Where's my check? Where's my check? Hey, PG&E, where's my check? That's what this is. Okay. I mean, again, that same talking point you hear from all of these people, these Democrats. Oh, it's too radical. We need incrementalism. We have 12 years, bitch. 12 years. And then, before the shit hits the fan, when it comes to the climate, we have to reverse course. We have to do it now. But again, they say, oh, no. And what's interesting about this is they're Democrats, so they can't reject the science, right? That's a Republican position. The Republicans reject science all day. Even though they know better, they still take the money. But Democrats are like, I have to accept the science, but how do we bullshit? How do we delay so that I can continue to get money from my donors? So they say, oh, it's unreasonable. It's impractical. It's too radical. We have to have all of the above approach. We have to have pragmatism. We have to practice pragmatism because we can't go too far too fast. You understand? That is the tranquilizing drug of gradualism that is going to be the end of our society. We can't do that. We can't do that. Now, Pallone also says, quote, I just don't want to lay a groundwork for something that might happen in 5 or 10 years and just talk about it. I want to actually get things done. What do you want to get done? Nothing. Because what we're doing here, if you're not strong about this, right, then you don't inspire voters, for one. And then you don't get power. But then that works out for them because it's like, well, you know, what are we going to do? The Republicans didn't want it. The Republicans didn't want us to do anything on climate change, and they outvoted us. So even though we wanted to do some very, very modest reforms, I guess we can't do anything. Sorry. That's what happens when you ask for half a loaf. And right now, the Democrats that are not strong progressives, so you got Ro Khanna, you got Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, you got progressives that are saying, Green New Deal, let's go with the Green New Deal, let's do something bold. But the rest of the Democratic Party is still saying, oh no, we can't do that. Gradualism, we need gradualism. No, we don't. Look, you want to take half measures, right? That's all they want to do so they can continue to keep getting campaign contributions from oil and gas. That is the honest truth. This is a national emergency. You want to talk about national emergencies, right? This is one. It's a planetary emergency. We have to act now. This is no time for pragmatism. This is really, and their pragmatism right here is not actually pragmatic. The Green New Deal will create millions of good-paying jobs. So, no, this is an effort to stall progress in shifting away from fossil fuels, and it's all because of greed. Can't afford to do that anymore. We've got to be bold, progressive, and uncompromising. And if you're in our way, like Frank Pallone is, well, then you need to be removed because climate change is not going to be solved by half measures. We've got to go all in or not at all. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.